I like learning, but I have trouble with making friends.
From filmmaker Lee Hirsch comes a documentary about the cruel world of schoolyard bullies.
He's not safe on that bus.
We follow the stories of 5 families, 2 who have lost children to bullying, and a third dealing with a jailed child.
He got to the point where enough was enough.
This crisis affects teachers, administrators, kids, and parents as they struggle to find answers in Bully. Next up is Bully. Sean and Liz, you've both just seen it. But before we begin, I want to talk about the controversy around this film regarding the rating. The Motion Picture Association of America gave this movie an R rating for a few F-bombs that are in the movie, and Harvey Weinstein's company created quite a bit of a protest around it.
Well, the filmmakers refused to cut out those few F-bombs, and rightfully so. What's interesting is a lot of people are talking about how The Hunger Games is a PG-13 movie, and that has children killing each other. And then we have Bully, which is supposed to be an educational tool to get people to be more aware of bullying in the schools.
With all the controversy around the R rating for this film, should teenagers and preteens go and see this movie?
The kids and the adults should see it together. I think that's important.
You get to know these kids and you get to see a little bit more intense look at what they're really experiencing.
It's a story about 5 families essentially affected by bullying that range from basically just a kid being bullied in school, and then other families who have had children that have actually committed suicide.
Wow.
Because of the torment that they were undergoing. But if we don't necessarily see that much bullying.
I completely disagree with you. I mean, it shows actually a lot of bullying. What's unusual is that there's a lot of footage from inside the school. There's our main character, his name is Alex, and he wears a wireless mic, and you capture people swearing at him, you capture people strangling him, people threatening him.
Does it make you feel good when they punch you? Or kick you? Or stab you?
Well, I don't know. I'm starting to think I don't feel anything anymore.
Alex is the most fascinating piece of this entire documentary. Here's a kid who's getting bullied on a daily basis, and he's gone numb.
Yeah.
He sort of takes it. But that's really the only character you see get bullied. There are kids who die, and that story's not on screen here.
But you're asking something in the film that would be impossible to deliver. There's no way to target these children and infiltrate that kind of situation.
Yes, I agree that with this subject matter, they probably did the best that they can. That doesn't mean that we're obviously not missing things.
If the film had a more obvious structure, then as viewers, we would have been more drawn into the storyline. We would have felt more what these characters are feeling. But instead, it was messy.
We had heard that he had had his head shoved into a wall locker. Some kids had told him to go hang himself, that he is worthless. I still think he's going to come through that door. But I know he's not.
There is another thing that I would fault about this movie, and that's the stories that this picture centers on are in Yazoo County, Mississippi, Murray County, Georgia, and people in Los Angeles and New York can go, that's Yazoo County, Mississippi. That's not going to happen here, which is really unfair because it probably happens in those places in a larger scale.
So there was no big city stories in this movie?
None.
The film never posits an argument for why bullying exists or what one can do to alleviate it. It alludes to problems within the school administration, but you're not quite sure if that's the solution.
If it wants to put the blame on anybody, it does point the finger toward the public school system. The film makes it seem like they could do a lot more than they're doing, but I feel bad for the public schools in this movie.
Me too.
There's a fascinating scene in the movie where the assistant principal witnesses this confrontation and has the 2 kids come and she says, shake hands. And the bully sticks out his hand and says, sure, we'll shake hands. And the kid who has been bullied says, I don't want to shake his hand.
Cole? What? You are not going anywhere. He is offering his hand, and let this drop. You may go. Cole, I expected more.
Now, do they actually interview any bullies in the movie?
They do interview one bully, and this little boy talks about how he was a bully because he was larger than the other boys and girls, and then he realized that what he was doing was wrong, and he decided to be cool with everyone.
But you bring up an interesting point, is that what happens if you film the bully? It would be interesting to see. They act one way when they're around the kids, but then if they're on camera and have to talk about the fact that they did this deed, do they bring on a completely different demeanor?
Right, are they playing to the camera?
Right, we don't see it.
Let's take it to a vote. Grab your tickets.
Albeit not a perfect film, Bully delivers what you expect it to deliver, a glimpse into the modern-day public school system. For that, I give it a see it.
Despite the R rating, this is really a movie that kids should see with their parents. It's not as powerful as it could be, but it's still worthy of a see it.
Cheers. And I'm going to go see it.